Hello, and welcome to the end of week 3 of the Summer Series 2.0 in partnership with H&H. I can't believe we're not even halfway through the Summer Series. We've had a seriously awesome week this week with Events DC starting us off over in Washington. We've had NatWest back in England, Philips over in the Netherlands, and we go back to America, and our speakers in residing in Jersey today. I've actually got my New York Jets jumper on, so must have known Mike was sitting in a room in New Jersey somewhere. But it's been a fantastic week. We call it the Summer Series. In England today, it resembles anything but summer, unless it's a stereotypical British summer, because it is raining cats and dogs right now. And I have to share this before coming on camera about 30 seconds ago. My subconscious is obviously hoping that we're going to be in person again soon, because I had a polo mint on my desk, and I thought, I'll put a breath mint in and just make everything fresh for when I get on stage and see everybody. But obviously I'm on screen and on a camera and a million miles away from most of you. So that was a totally useless point, but I'm thinking it's the subconscious making me want to come out, but hopefully see you all soon at conferences and events in person. Like I say, what a way to end the week, and an amazing week it's been. So let's introduce Mike. Mike Winters, Vice President at Bank of America, is going to take us through some work that's made them shortlisted for the Inspiring Workplaces Awards in North America. We find out the winners of those next month. But it's talking around the Academy of the Bank of America and how they've been measuring the employee experience through teammate voices. And I'm absolutely fascinated to see what they've been up to. So please welcome Mike. Oh, Mike, you're on mute, I believe.
And there we go. Good morning, good afternoon.
I do that at least every other time.
In this day and age, it's normal, right?
It is.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for having me. We're really excited to be here today and talk a little bit about what we've been doing within the Academy and our experience with Teammate Voices and how we use that to innovate change within the Academy. So excited to be here, and certainly honored. And on behalf of my team at Bank of America and our partners who work so hard to make this all work for our teammates, just wanted to share our gratitude with you for allowing us to be here today.
Straight back at you. Very grateful for you to share your experiences. I'm going to disappear now, let you do your thing, and I will be back later. So over to you, Mike.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and get started today. And what I'd like to do is just go ahead and start out with a little bit about who the Academy is at Bank of America and what we do. And then from there, we'll go into what Teammate Voices is and how we use it to improve the teammate experience while they're in the Academy. The Academy is really our award-winning onboarding, coaching, and development organization. We support 80,000 employees who span our consumer and small business bank, to include Merrill and our private bank. And we launched the Academy back in 2016, and it's really a pretty unique offering to our teammates. When we focus on preparing all of our client-facing teammates to go out every day and provide them with the skills and tools and resources they need to meet the needs of our ever, expanding client base and their needs as well. It's a partnership. We work very closely with our Global Human Resources Department, our Learning and Leadership Development organizations, who really help set the strategy. And we become the business-oriented arm of that business with day-to-day interactions with our teammates as we prepare them for the roles and get them ready to go out there into the field. We really do pride ourselves in the fact that our coursework is taught by subject matter experts. So we have over 230 Academy managers within the Academy who get up every morning and meet and work with our teammates to prepare them for the job that they're going to take on in meeting with our clients. There's a lot of one-on-one coaching in that, a lot of training there to get them ready for their full-time job. And through those efforts, right, we also include hands-on, high-tech, immersive training, end-to-end coaching and development that really drive productivity, efficiency, and ultimately the success of our client-facing teammates. It is a tall order and one we take very seriously. When you think about teammate voices and all of those folks who come through the Academy, the question started to come up, how do we know how well we're doing as an Academy? Considering the scope of the businesses that we support, with 8 different line of business academies, within each academy, there was feedback generating mechanisms where they could better understand the teammate experience. What we really needed to do was find a way to capture that data, aggregate it, and really be able to look at it more holistically. So some of the things that really drove us and kind of scoped how we were going to approach this was really the desire to fully understand the teammate experience during their program. How are they doing as they enter? How are they doing at the halfway point? And ultimately, once you get, at the end of the program, tell us how we did. And we also wanted to take the benefit of that data aggregation. When you survey in a silo or you do a one-time survey at the end of a program, that data is usually looked at. Changes could or could not be made. But the power of data aggregation allows us to apply analytics, and those analytics start to really inform how we make decisions and how we meet the needs of teammates. And I'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes when we start getting into some of the results. And ultimately, we can spend some time there as well, talking about where we're going in the future based on what we've learned. And, obviously, too, we wanted to understand the effectiveness of the academy programs and understand whether or not the academy programs had an impact on client experience. So one of the most important things for us as a business that we can do is inform the training and development strategies through what our teammates say. So like I said, just keep in mind, 80,000 teammates a year, that's a lot of folks. And the ability to understand that messaging really, works to move us forward. So let's talk a little bit about the platform and how we gather feedback from teammates within the academy. There's really 3 generations of feedback resources that we use. We have our managed programs, which was our Gen 1, which we launched back in November of 2019. Very timely, by the way, because in March of 2020, as we all know, the world changed and teammate voices played an important role in and through that change. The second generation, which we launched early last year and are continuing to expand, is our digital platform, or we call it Real Time. And what that allows us to do is gather information from teammates where they work. So think of managed programs, our generation 1, as, hey, this is where we spend time listening to our teammates as they go through their full end-to-end program. Our Gen 2 digital real time allows us the opportunity to meet teammates where they work. And that involves the resources they use. So for example, our simulators, our conversation libraries, could be a web page that they access for resources. Wherever they're going and pointing and clicking, we're looking to incorporate a link and gather feedback real time. Digital's opt-in. Teammate doesn't need to share feedback, but if they're there and they see something wrong or something doesn't make sense, click the link, share some feedback. And third generation is the ad hoc survey process. And this gives us the ability to send surveys to teammates when we need to. It could be a one-off meeting or initiative or talk that's given where we want to get feedback. And we also use that generational component for pilots. So as we bring on a new program, doesn't always make sense to do a full managed program because we're constantly innovating and developing. So ad hoc gives the ability to reach out to teammates when we need to, get some feedback and affect program change that way. So 3 ways that we gather feedback from teammates and how we pull that all together really helps us drive innovation and makes sure that we're in front of the curve when it comes to change and program change. So it's really an interesting dynamic, and we're learning a lot as we go along. So keep in mind, right, we launched in November of 2019. Here we are in the middle of 2021, so we're about 18 months into this wonderful journey, and we're learning something every day. An important part of our journey is close the loop processing and feedback. And that's where we spend some time where teammates tell us something that might trigger an alert. There's a ton of criteria that we build out around that. But ultimately, if a teammate is struggling or surfaces an opportunity or challenge that they might be going through, we actually get an alert. So one of our 230 Academy managers will get a notification email in their mailbox. They'll be able to go out and take a look at the feedback that the teammate has shared. And then they will collaborate with that teammate to figure out a resolution. And I can't tell you how important this is, and certainly how important it was as we went through 2020. Having the ability to grab a teammate in the moment and reorient their experience is so critical to what we do. In the past, we had no idea whether a teammate was doing well or not doing well until the end of the program. Now we do, because now we survey teammates periodically throughout their program, and that allows us to really start to dive in and help them and support them and get them set up for success. So that academy manager becomes a pivotal role in all of that, because they're the ones who reach out to the teammate, they're the ones who close the loop, and they're the ones who can help us make sure that that teammate has a good experience. So at the end of that, if you think about, right, it's all about the data, but it really is all about the teammate experience. But that they'll fill out a case management form in the end that allows us to understand how they resolve that. And we can use that data too to better understand what's going on post engagement with that teammate to make future improvements. So some of the things that we've learned throughout the last year or so is this, right? Our platform needs to be nimble, and we need to be able to react quickly. These 3 generations of feedback resources allow us to do that in a really fantastic way. I can't underestimate, like, it's amazing sometimes just the amount of what we're able to learn. And if you think about when the coronavirus surfaced in March of 2020, we were able to go in and add in trigger language around the coronavirus to surface teammate concerns fantastically, right? We didn't surface a lot. Teammates were really appreciative of how we were doing, but that being able to do that, though, also allowed us to go ahead and navigate that tricky territory. Keep in mind, like many other companies throughout the world, we had to move a lot of teammates who are working in client-facing roles to maybe working in non-client-facing roles and taking on other challenges within the company. So being able to listen to them as we did that really provided us a strategic advantage and enabled us to meet those needs and respond quickly to things that we saw surfacing through text analytics. So I would say that's the other key component here that really is driving innovation for us, is really listening to what teammates are saying and then looking at it through text analytics. What is starting to bubble to the surface? What are the things that we can address now? What are the things that we need to take a mid or longer term look at in terms of program design? So that enables us to make change. It enables us to scope and deliver change in a meaningful way. So a real interesting caveat there and how we're using the data. And lastly, we know it's important to listen to teammates. What makes this unique is how actively we're listening, right? So for example, in our managed programs, we're listening to teammates at the beginning, midpoint, and end of their program. And then we offer them an actual 60-day look back. So here we go, right? So you come through the program. If you have a challenge, we're going to intercept, we're going to grab you, we're going to make things right. Even at the post, if there's something that you need that you feel you didn't get, we can still work with you to have a coaching plan and process in place to shore you up, and then move you into that 60-day survey where we give you a look back. And that's a really important point. You're 60 days in role, looking back at your program. Is there anything we could have done differently that would have made your experience better? And we're getting really viable feedback there. And that look back gives us a chance to really impact change for them going forward. So the analytics and all of those pieces fit in really, really well. Here's what we've learned, and then we'll go into some of the improvement summary here in a couple of minutes. Teammates share feedback on a daily basis, as we said. 15% of our total comments mentioned have to do with hands-on training. So teammates telling us hands-on training. And what makes it really interesting is through the simulators that we provide and the one-on-one coaching and the role plays, teammates are getting an abundance of hands-on training. So the fact that they're mentioning that and we're driving that metric down is key. And those are things that we have the academies focused on as they develop new programs. One of the other things that teammates said is they want more simulators. 5% of our total comments mention the word simulator or simulators. So we're working diligently on building out more simulators through a variety of different avenues so their teammate gets a more real-time and real-world feeling experience through the simulations that they engage with. So they enter their role feeling ready and proficient and able to handle the responsibilities of that role and execute the responsibilities of that role. And then the third part, which they shared with us, was that 8% of the total comments mentioned the word practice. So they want practice time. So the challenge for us, and all of that came through text analytics and data aggregation. If you look at those as three big buckets, right? They prompt some other questions for us. And those questions are, well, when teammates are talking about hands-on, what exactly is it that they mean? Is it hands-on in the environment? Is it hands-on with the simulator? So we're working through now, digging into that particular topic a little bit deeper to really start to dive in and understand what is it that teammates mean when they say hands-on. Similarly, we're looking at what types of simulators to do. And there's a lot of different ideas. Is it, do we need to do things like, VR? Do we need to look at AI? What are the things that we can leverage to bring a more innovative experience and tech experience to teammates so that they can enter that role feeling prepared to be successful in that role? And we ask them that, we ask if they're prepared, how prepared they feel to be successful, and teammates, they're sharing with us. So those things there, if you think about those in the context, those three big buckets of work have really enabled us to make change. We had some situations last year where teammates were telling us that they felt they needed more practice or technology wasn't working. We were able to intervene and get directly involved with them and make that experience better. So if you think about those trends and you look at what we've been able to do, let me just share with you some of the results that we've been able to do. Let me reframe, right? November 2019 through the beginning of this year, looking year over year, teammate engagement improved 7% through the Academy experience. Teammates' overall satisfaction with the programs they attended improved 3%, and their level of role preparedness improved 1%. And while those numbers look like, well, those are significant numbers in the sense that, looking at the environment we were in 2020, it was not a normal year. We were moving teammates. The Academy had to rethink the way we prepared teammates for role because we were moving teammates off client-facing roles into back office roles, into different client-facing roles. You might have been in a financial center one day and we're working on our client care team the next day, taking phone calls. So when you look at those numbers and put them in the context of that, we were able to improve the teammate experience, improve the program experience, improve their level of role preparedness, all while navigating a very uncertain time in terms of how we work. To me, that speaks volumes, and we're extremely proud of those numbers and certainly the results we're going to get. And I will tell you, right, we launched in 2019. If we had not done that, I'm not sure we would have been able to have those results. So the ability to listen in has become such an integrated part of our business. And it's really starting to drive even bigger change as we look forward. So now as things are starting to normalize, we're really sitting down and looking at our results and asking some different questions. And one of the questions we asked about as we entered into the third, fourth quarter last year is like, does the Academy have any connection to the client experience at all? Are we able to say through an Academy program and get a direct correlation to client experience? And we analyzed a ton of results through both of our client SAT scores and client responses and our teammate scores, and through new hire teammates who went through our programs. And we were actually able to draw a fairly strong line between employee experience and client experience. And what we found is that a teammate's role preparedness, so they're like, how prepared they feel for their role, every time we can move that or bump that a point, there's a direct correlation of a 0.03% gain in improvement in the client overall SAT and a client's likelihood to recommend Bank of America. While that 0.03 is a relatively low statistically valid sample, if you think about it in context, the fact that we were able to make that correlation is significant, and it allows us to really tackle role preparedness from a different perspective. We can now look at role preparedness and we're asking some different questions about it. So now it's because it can be subjective, right? A teammate's role preparedness can be quite subjective. It's how they feel as they enter the role. And that's where this makes things kind of interesting for us, because now we're looking at both role preparedness from how a teammate feels, but we're now able to look at role preparedness from how a teammate's ability to execute. And that 60-day survey that we send to a teammate to have them look back, we're going to take a look at refreshing that. But we also ask their manager how the teammate's doing. So we get 2 points of view on the 60-day in terms of that teammate's ability to execute and roll, because we know, right, the manager is going to give us feedback, and we want to understand the difference between manager and teammate. Another thing that we learned over the last year or so is this, that from the perspective of that whole teammate process and our overall satisfaction, is a lot of the questions that we ask today revolve around the program and the program success. And now we're looking at, based on the data, if teammates are talking about hands-on, they're talking about simulators, they're talking about practice, we're reorienting some of our questions to be more about that experience of hands-on, more about that experience of simulators, and learning more about the practice component. Because we know if we can crack the code further on those things and provide a more robust practice and simulator experience and satisfy those hands-on requirements, that teammate will feel better prepared to take on their role, and they will be able to execute better. And then we know that will also drive our client OSAT and likelihood to recommend. So interesting numbers, very high level view, we're providing for you here today. But these numbers are significant, and they're just continuing to drive the work that we do and how we look at the teammate experience at Bank of America within the academy and beyond in terms of teammates preparedness. So let me stop sharing the slideshow here and see if there are any questions that we might be able to take about today's talk.
Thank you so much, Mike. A really insightful and inspiring piece of work. My own quick observation, I came into this world before founding Inspiring Workplaces from a customer experience, customer loyalty standpoint, and knew that the number one reason for a customer to love or hate an organization is actually the dealing with the employee of that organization. So that's why I started focusing on the employee experience, employee engagement, and created the awards and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's fantastic to see that you're focusing on the experience of your people and you're creating that correlation with the customer. And then I was going to ask a question whether you had any proof points, and then you carried on talking, and you're starting to correlate the proof points against the customer experience as well. And so just want to say congratulations for putting the employee voice at the heart of what you're doing, and then actually starting to correlate it and give business cases to get more money and more investment, I guess, from the powers that be to keep giving your people a voice, because you can see the positive impact on the customer side. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I wanted to know, what's next with regards to the academy, and whether this will be rolled out further across the bank, because it has to be, surely.
Yeah, if you think about, right, a lot of when you talk about employee experience, it's really about the employee journey. And we know that the employee journey begins at point of hire and carries on throughout their career. I think the academy sees the opportunity to really understand this in terms of what will happen organizationally at the enterprise level. I really can't speak to today. I don't have a window into that. Yeah. I can tell you, though, that overall Bank of America takes the employee experience very, very seriously in all different avenues. Here within the academy, we just chose to really focus. Like, we know that it's this one point in time for that teammate, and we know how important that point in time is for them in terms of their success. And also, too, right, keep in mind that a teammate's academy journey should be 2 or 3, or it could be 2, 3, or 4 times throughout their career, depending on the roles that they take on within the bank. So knowing that we've got that constant listening point as they come back through our program is really a value to us, and we've got a lot of eyes on the work that we're doing, for sure.
Well, that's exciting. That's a little nod to something maybe a bit bigger, which would be exciting indeed. Have there been any surprises along the way, positive or negative?
I think one of the things that surprised us was when we started flagging and triggering alerts around coronavirus, how favorable all the comments were. And I think, again, right, speaks to our organization, how well they take care of the teammates. And I'm bragging a little bit here, but certainly, the bank did put us first when things started to go, a little weird for everyone. And then, so seeing that positive feedback was really, really important for us. I think if there was a moment where we're scratching our heads it's around the hands-on training, because we know within our programs, we have a lot of hands-on training. And I think for us, we're going like, we know we have a lot of hands-on training. There's hours and hours of it in the program. So now the question is, what is it that teammates are looking for? And so when we think about going forward, right, and I think I alluded to this a little bit, today we ask a lot of programming type questions. How is the program? Overall, tomorrow we're going to ask more experience programs and more about that hands-on, and be more deliberate about, like, tell us about your hands-on experience throughout your program.
Yeah.
And we're going to ask that question, most likely midpoint through or maybe at the end. And that will, allow us to better gear that hands-on experience for them and provide them with the type of hands-on experience they want.
Fantastic. Another question that was thrown up, you created in my head, it's been a long week, was, I love the idea when you give an employees a voice, they often come up with fantastic ideas that can implement and benefit the business, whether it be cost saving, new products. And I was just wondering whether you've had any surprises with some amazing ideas that then have gone on to be implemented in the academy.
A lot of it's been validation around things that we were already had in play. I will tell you, though, just to take you back, the first survey response we got, it was like in November 2019. We pushed it, our first push. The first survey response we got was perfect, a perfect 10 score. And yet the comments were so constructive. So one of the things that we're learning is that no matter where you are within that scoring, right, is there's a lot of good constructive feedback, and we're constantly mining that feedback for innovation and change. And we're looking at developing different and creative ways to generate ideas within the academy space and allow our teammates to share more freely. So I think, I think we've got the bases covered. The feedback that we've gotten to date has validated that we're on the right path. I think now it's just really about refining that execution piece to better meet the needs of our teammates. We're doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. It's that constant innovation and that constant evolution that drives us to make it even better.
And you're on a journey. So what you've done since 2019 to now is incredible. And you can't do everything at once. The reason I bring up ideas for those watching who haven't really thought about employee ideas, they know your business better than anybody. And a couple of examples: the Happy Meal and the Post-it note were ideas from staff within McDonald's and 3M, and pretty profitable ideas. So it's really worth investing in that listening. And you're already doing the listening piece.
Absolutely.
So many other questions. I suppose this might be an unfair one to put you on the spot, but if you weren't Bank of America and you didn't have the funds in place, would you be able to replicate this listening program in your mind in a way on a lesser budget to actually put the listening pieces in place and correlate with customer experience?
Really good question.
Yeah.
And I think the short answer is, yeah. I think that everything is in steps, right? So if you think about it in the context of a journey, I'm fortunate to work for a company like Bank of America under the leadership of John Jordan, our director of the academy, who really helped us champion this and get this across, into reality.
Yeah.
And to know we're listening. I think, though, if you think about from a scale perspective and stuff, there's things that you can do. And I think the important point is it's baby steps. So it's like, what can you start doing today? We were listening before.
Yeah.
Right within each respective line of business. What we didn't have the advantage of was how we're looking at that data, aggregating it, reporting, and looking at it over time to identify those big bucket horizontal items, because it makes the expend a little bit easier. So I would say, for an organization that might not have the funding or be thinking about this, I think the best place to start is with small baby steps, right? And then build it from there. And then you add in the features that you can. I think the important part is that you're listening, and then you have a means of aggregating and looking at the data over time to identify key themes. And at a minimum, if you start there with just like one survey, I think you're ahead of the game and being able to innovate and affect change that really will be meaningful to your teammates.
Thank you so much. And I think, has there been a mindset shift over the past since 2019? Have people gone to a different place and seeing things in a different way? Do you think? Or because I often think that experience and engagement comes from a mindset shift rather than just applying technology. You have to think.
Yeah, it really is a culture. It really is a culture, right? And you have to create that culture. Early on, we started communicating with our academy executives and leadership team to share the vision of where we were going. It represented a significant shift because this is the first time we were going to listen to employees. And oh, by the way, if they give us, a certain score or they share a certain verbatim, we're going to pick up the phone and call them. Yeah. So there was a little bit of apprehension about that. That said, right, we pushed through and we did it. And the teammate experience is so much better for it because they appreciate the fact that we actually, reach out and connect with them and are working to make sure that they have a really good experience. And then being able to close that loop and gather that feedback also is a pivotal point.
Fantastic. I was just seeing if any of my team had any questions. But my last question, and again, I don't want to put any words in your mouth. Have you been able to fail and make mistakes and see that as part of the journey, like whilst you've been going through this process of putting these systems in place? Is it okay to make mistakes, get feedback, keep going, keep evolving? Because I'm trying to work out because what you've done is incredible in the space of time you've done it. And I often see that there's a culture of being able to, a safe culture where you have freedom to make mistakes and keep going.
Sure. Yeah. And so we're talking about the culture and I think, you're always, it's measured risk, right? We knew we were charting a new ground here and we were really excited to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I think, in terms of being able to fail forward, I'm grateful. We work with a really progressive leadership team here. They knew coming into this that there were going to be opportunities and challenges. And anytime you undertake a project this big, there's going to be failures. I think what's really important, right, is that you continue to move the ball forward down the field. And not only that, there's a Jets reference there for you, by the way. But also, I think from the standpoint of being able to learn from your failures and execute. And, I'm fortunate again to work with leaders who understand that. And I think what's important too is how do we take that forward? And make sure that we stay that way. In terms of the academies, I mean, it's really easy. For me as the program manager for this program, I get to see the feedback and everything. It's not as personal to me as it might be to one of our program designers who sees the feedback and goes, teammates just aren't happy with X or they're not really happy with Y, and it's a trend, and then being able to figure that out. So I think from that standpoint, being able to move through that and not personalize it is really key. And our teams do a great job at that. I mean, they're really oriented around the teammate experience. I do think, though, you need to acknowledge that there will be failures along the way when you stand up a project like this. And if things aren't working, you need to go. Like one example is, when we first started doing alerts, we were just getting, the parameters were too broad, right? So we were just getting so many that we didn't know how to do it. And it's not that many people felt unhappy. It's just that we had to work to refine that trigger language. We had to work to get things dialed in to where we were getting true alerts. For example, there's different words that you can use in a positive and negative context. And if, the programming picks up as a negative, you're going to get an alert. Meanwhile, they're telling you how great you are. So things like that. And being patient and listening to our team is really important. And I think that's the other piece. We work for our academies. We're here to support them, and we're here to provide them with the most robust and viable listening tool that we can. So we're listening to them. We're actually, in the next 2 weeks, we're working on next Monday. As a matter of fact, it goes out to all of our key stakeholders. We're sending feedback surveys out to them using our ad hoc program to learn from them, to find out where we're doing well, where we're not doing as well as they would like us to do, and where we can innovate to make sure that we're keeping the program, the Teammate Voices platform, ahead of the curve for them. So that feedback isn't limited just to our teammates, right? We're using it within the academy space now to understand how we're doing as a program to make sure that we're living up to the expectations our businesses have of us to deliver on the teammate experience.
Fantastic. Mike, you're an inspiration, and your team. So thank you so much. And thank you for being open, honest, and candid as well. One of the biggest stumbling blocks for, I think, anybody trying to start this journey or get investment from the powers that be is sometimes the fear of failure or not being allowed to fail, or knowing that it's going to take a lot of hard work. And I think you've mapped out what you went through, the mindset shift, and some honest and open feedback that the experiences you've had over the past 2 years. And I'm really excited to see what's coming. So good luck in the awards. And is there anything else you'd like to share before we let you go to finish off your week?
Just would like to say thank you so much. What an honor to be asked to speak to everyone today and to share our story. We're really proud, of course, and that's fantastic to bring that pride. We're excited about being a finalist in the Inspire Workplaces Award. Can't wait for the results. I think you said next month, so we're just sitting here waiting very impatiently to see those results come out. But certainly great to be a part of this program, the Inspiring Summer Series 2.0. Flattered to be here and really grateful to be representing my team, who works so hard day in and day out to help measure and listen to what our teammates have to say. So thank you.
Thank you, and hopefully see you next time I'm allowed into New York. So,
very good.
But take care. Have a great weekend. Thanks very much, Mike.
Thank you. You as well. Bye now.
Bye. What a story. Listening to your people, getting constant feedback, giving them a voice. It's so powerful, and I really appreciate Mike's time today. I appreciate all our speakers in the first 3 weeks. I can't believe we've done 3 weeks every single workday, and we've still got 3.5 weeks to go. Thank you for watching. Lots more to come. Have a fantastic weekend wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.